I'm actually wearing a ring that says be kind, and on the inside it says of a bitch, because that's what saying no feels like. Until it doesn't. Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Y'all Asked for This, where enough people in my life have been like, hey, put your yapping somewhere that I can go back and watch it later when I have the time. So, here I am. If you're new to me, hey, hi, hello. My name is Jessie. I'm just a person who loves people so much and hopes that the things that I talk about and kind of ponder about out loud with you guys gives you a little more space for some love and compassion for yourself, and hopefully, eventually, you can extend that out to other people as well. Today, I want to talk about the word no and holding that boundary. Nab it. So let's talk about it. So I am going to take very much a human design perspective on this. So if you don't know your human design, that's a-okay. Honestly, at least 70% of the population is going to resonate with this. You'll probably still resonate with it anyway, because there are different layers with it. But I do want to start out just kind of generally speaking and leave human design for a little bit later. So not being able to say no about things is very much like a good girl, good boy conditioning. It's very much like, don't you want to be liked? Like, they just want to hang out with you. It's very unintentionally manipulation that we've been taught to use. For how many people I have out in my life that are just like, oh, but I just wanted to talk to you or something like that. Like, after coming out of a very manipulative relationship, like, you just kind of see things for what they are. And again, it's not like an intentional kind of manipulation. They may genuinely just want to, chat, but it comes off as that kind of conditioning. It's not listening to somebody's no. And a lot of the time, it's just people wanting to pull out your energy because they're bored. Which that's going to be a whole other topic that we talk about, just letting yourself be bored. But really getting good at not even saying no to begin with, because that's a couple steps out. But really noticing within yourself when you don't want to do something. I don't even think people register it anymore because, again, we're so conditioned to be liked. We're so conditioned to, do the thing that we're taught we should do. That good girl, good boy conditioning. Just do it. Suck it up. Who cares if you don't want to do it? Just do it. But that really just creates this life that feels terrible. And this year, it's 2025, yay. This year, I really want just everybody to kind of start off with knowing that life doesn't have to feel terrible. It really doesn't. And starting out little baby steps to begin just enjoying life a little bit more is honoring your no. And a really easy way to kind of start playing with that is within yourself. Do you really want to be scrolling on social media? It's fine if you do. Yes, okay, go for it. Do you really want to cook food right now? Do you really want to eat said thing right now? We're so conditioned in all of these ways. There's so much information out there telling us that this is what's good and this is what's bad and you should do this and you shouldn't do that it almost overwhelms our system and keeps us all scattered. So it's harder to even register what is a yes and what is a no for yourself. I usually like to just use food as the example in the beginning for pretty much testing out anything, because it's not going to have an emotional response if you're saying no to a person. It's just something that's very I'm honoring myself today. And even if it's something I know I don't want this right now, but you know what, sweet sounds really good, but my body's but Jess, you don't want that. I can either be you're right, I don't want that. Or I can be I know, body, I know I don't want that right now, but I'm gonna have it anyway. And even just registering that, even just noticing this isn't really what I want, truly in my being, and still doing it, it's the first step. You've registered, I don't actually want this. And then you'll be able to kind of notice how you feel after the fact. And usually I'm just yeah, that wasn't worth it. That wasn't worth the damn calories today. Or you just kind of will feel drained or something after. And it's just yeah, that didn't give me the energy. It was a cheap hit. A cheap hit where I just did it because I wanted to, but it didn't give me any substance. I think that's also something that really comes in when you start saying no to things, is it gives you the space for yeses to come in. This is very much something I say in my human design sessions. If you are bogged down with all this stuff that you don't actually want to do and actually doesn't light you up, there's no room for anything that would light you up to come in. It's like if you say yes to going and hanging out with whoever that you just kind of felt like, I'm bored, one, or I don't actually want to do this, but I'm going to do it. If something else comes along that you actually want to do, now you're like, fuck, I actually really want to do that, but I already committed to this other thing. And then it makes that other thing feel even like worse, because you know that the other opportunity that came in, like, you could have had if you had just stuck to like what actually did and did not feel good to you. I would also like to note that saying no doesn't have to be like this, like, I don't fucking want to do it. I think most of us get there and then it really feels bad because now we have like this emotional charge behind it, this like lower frequency charge. But that is kind of where a lot of people have to get before they make a change. So really the goal is to like not have to get there. We want to be able to like catch it within ourselves as it's coming up, as opposed to being so pissed and so frustrated and just being basically walked all over per nobody's fault, but truly your own, which is a hard kind of thing to play with too. It's kind of like hard to accept. Is it like, oh, I didn't set my boundaries, or oh, I set my boundaries and then let it happen anyway. And there's no shame in either of those things. It's just noticing that that's what happened, because then you can start taking the steps to really honoring the boundaries you set, or just being like, I fucking hated that, and setting a boundary then. So bringing us into that human design perspective, there are some key points that might make you want to not honor your no a little bit more. So human design is very much like your energy. If you're somebody who doesn't think that energy doesn't exist, but you can feel when somebody's in a bad mood, when they walk into like your job, like that's energy, y'all. I feel like people want to like dismiss it so hard, but they know that there's that person who either like lights everything up, or there's a person who you just like feel sucks the energy out of the room type of thing. Like you are aware of it. That's all that this is. In human design, I would say some of the key spots, if you have these in your design, then really starting to play with saying no to things could be such a game changer for you. So one, if you are a manifesting generator or a generator, as a MG or a generator, you are somebody who has this big enveloping aura. It's like people just want to like come in and they want to experience like all this lovely energy, especially if you're doing something that you love, like that's really not just filling you up, but it's spilling out to everybody else too. So people want this. People want this. They know you're capable. They know you have the engine to freaking just go all day. So they're going to recognize this in you. But because of that, people will get a little grabby with your energy. They're going to want to kind of like pull you into like their little world to boost them up, basically, a lot of the time is what I found. I'm a generator, so I'm very familiar with like people just trying to snag my vibe. But the thing is like when people are trying to pull at you and you're not honoring like your no, it's not doing anybody justice. They might still get a little bit of a hit, but it's not what they really wanted, because when you're doing something that you don't actually want to do, it's draining your energy. It's draining your life force. So then nobody wins. And I think that's kind of the thing, is like our conditioning is very much like we want to help somebody or we want to make somebody else happy and everything like that. But if you're not taking care of you first, then you can't even really like give them what you could to its full capacity, if even close to that. I say a lot of the times in my sessions that when we say no to people or things, like again, it's not only allowing space for like your yes to come in for yourself, but it's also creating the space for them to find the perfect person for whatever it was that they were asking for. And I think that helped me the most as somebody who was just like, I just want to help everybody. I can't even say I'm a recovering people pleaser anymore, because I feel like I'm like damn solid and not people pleasing anymore. But as a in the past people pleaser, it's that you're just like, well, I feel obligated to do this thing and I do want to help them. You might really want to help them, but just like not right now. And that's okay, because not right now means that they will either go and find somebody else to help them, or the timing will align in a different way that then feels good to everybody. It just, oh God, it just makes everybody win. Makes everybody win, especially when you're doing it from a very like heart-centered, calm place. Like I said, we don't want to get into our frustrated, like fuck everything, no. But we do want to get into like a, just no. Just no. As a generator or a manifesting generator, because you have this big energy, everybody can sense it. Everybody can sense that battery that you have, and they're gonna want to use it. That's been the conditioning of the world in general for a very long time. It's definitely shifting, and we're speeding things up right now, so really honoring your no is important at this point in time because the repercussions are gonna come in like that. But the whole world has been conditioned to just like, you can do it, you can go hard, because 70% of the population are generators or manifesting generators, or roughly 70%. But again, it doesn't make a difference how big your battery is if you're doing shit that you don't actually enjoy. Depleted immediately. Another point, another spot in your chart that kind of has this conditioning factor in it, makes it a little harder to say no to things, is if you have a 5 in your profile. The 5 is very much save the day energy. And again, people are going to recognize that in you. Whether you recognize it in you or not, people unconsciously are going to be like, that person can help me. That person knows how to do this. That person will figure it out for me. Like, how much pressure is that on yourself? Not saying don't say yes to things. It's just don't say yes to things that don't actually feel good to you. Very much following your strategy and authority in human design is important for this stuff. And you'll often find that as you are starting to say yes to things and like helping people, it's really putting you on like your soul's path. Like, it boggles my mind in the best way when I'm doing sessions and I know what people are like doing for work and I know a little bit about them, and just seeing how like in alignment they are with like their soul's path. And it makes me feel so good, because I know at the same time they've been conditioned that like this ain't it. But really what they're doing is absolutely perfect for themselves. That's why I love human design so much. It's so just like validating and almost gives like your being this ability to kind of like relax and be like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew I wasn't supposed to operate like this. I knew that this was the path for me. It's always lit me up. It's always been something I'm interested in. That was a little tangent. But as a 5, because you do have that save the day energy, it really is about getting good at being like, I know I could save the day, 'cause you know you can. And that's a little like ego trip that kind of comes in, like, you know you can. It's cool that you know you can, but like you don't have to. And if you really want to say no to something, then like say no to it. Or if you want to be helpful still, again, it doesn't have to be like a whole like leap into just a hard and fast no, but you can at least redirect people to, again, something or someone that can help them. You can reference something, send them a website or something like that. So it doesn't mean that you have to be like completely unhelpful, because it's still very helpful just by saying no. The last part of a human design chart that I believe definitely makes it a little bit harder to say no, especially to people, is if you have an open emotion center. This is going to be about like 50% of the population. I say that because when you have an open emotion center, basically when you're around other people and they're in any kind of emotional up or down or whatever, you take that in and you amplify it. And it feels like it's yours. So just with like the conditioning and being able to feel people's responses, it's hard to say no, because you can feel like their disappointment, or you can feel like their frustration, or, you know, their excitement even to have you around. Like, you can feel these things and it becomes this like, well, I don't want them to feel bad thing, but then like you feel bad. And again, it's not doing anybody any favors if you were like, doing this thing because I have to, or because I think I should, just to like make them happy. They might be more pleased, and again, because you amplify how they're feeling, it still might feel good to you, but it's not going to feel as good as if you were just like, I really do want to do that thing, or I really do want to help that person. It does feel like a good time. But I think that one's a really notable one, because it's hard. It's hard. I have an open emotion center, so I can relate to this so well. The amount of times that just like pushing through things because you don't want to feel somebody's anger come out, more irritation, which again, this is all just like so much work. there's so much work behind these things, especially as a woman where like anger isn't not something we're supposed to feel. Quote, quote, we're crazy if our anger starts to show. So it's like I would tiptoe around pissing people off, and not in a sense of like frustrated, like fuck you type of I'm here to piss you off, but just sometimes it was just easier to go through as opposed to holding a boundary. But again, all that does is like deplete your energy and make you feel like shit. So even as I'm saying all of this, there's still so much work behind allowing yourself to feel those emotions. It's not fucking crazy to feel anger. It's a person thing. It's okay. It's not like a fucked up thing. Like, as I feel like men a lot of the time don't like to feel inadequate in certain ways. Like, it's okay. We all freaking feel that. It's a person thing. Like, we all have to get comfortable with these feelings anyway. And as you do that, then again, you're not going to get to that point of being so frustrated that you say no to something, but that you can just be like, no, like it's not for me. Like, I just don't want to. And again, this is definitely something where practicing with things that aren't people is really helpful, because the dynamic within people and our energies mixing and stuff, it really does make it harder. I've been practicing this stuff again for human design speaking for at least 2 years now, a little over 2 years, 3 years. I don't know. What's time? But I find that I do a much better job, like just with things within myself. And it's like dipping your toe in and kind of practicing with people to kind of build that confidence in yourself, and that confidence in knowing like, okay, no, like that felt terrible to say no initially, but like I feel really good. And then again, the emotional cycle with that, like, oh gosh, I feel good for not helping someone, but I love helping people, like there's still like this dynamic to kind of play with, which is why I say like baby stepping things in and just noticing them. You don't even have to like act immediately. I would say just allowing yourself to notice them. Or if you feel like acting immediately, yes, I love that. Do it. It took me a long time. So more power to you if that's the case. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. Let me know if this was helpful to you. I really do. Like, oh, the world's gonna shift so much. Life is gonna feel so good and so easy and just so in flow when more and more people really start honoring their no. Because then they get to honor their yes, and then they get to honor their their happiness and just following their joy and like the shit that they really love and want to do. Let me know if there's anything that you have a hard time saying no with. What emotions come up when you have that no? How are you working through that? I would definitely say the book Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender to Surrender. You would think I would know the freaking title of this book by now. By Dr. David Hawkins. Is so helpful in navigating the emotional stuff that comes up. It's crazy how talking about emotions like anger and shame and guilt and stuff is written in such a way that you feel good. It's a wild read in that aspect. It had me being like, how am I amazing. It's amazing. So if you're somebody who is dealing with like those kinds of emotions, obviously you can talk to somebody, fully support that as well. But if you're not quite there, it is a very, very, very good book to help support you as well. Let me know what your human design is, if you know that. Does this resonate with you as a generator, manifesting generator, somebody with a 5 in their profile, or an open emotion center? Let me know. I love to hear it. If you don't know your human design, by all means, you can just Google it, and then you'll need all of your birth information, your date, time, location, and you'll be able to pull that up. Or if you want a reading by me, I can do that too. I'll leave a link for that as well. And I hope you have a wonderful day, night, weekend, whenever you're freaking listening to this. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye!